Another big mover in the after hours here. Microsoft shares jumping on that first quarter earnings print. And joining us now to discuss the latest results is Ted Mortonson, Baird Technology Desk Sector Strategist. So let me start with this, just your reaction to the print here. We got the stock moving more than 4% in the after hours.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, this is a really strong print on multiple levels. I mean, if you look at the revenues, a good close to $2 billion of exceed. You look at that operating margin leverage up 24%, and obviously they blew out the EPS. I think from the segments, what's really interesting, productivity and business was basically, I would say, in line, but Dynamics was very, very strong, up 21% in constant currency. The other things that really popped for me personally, and I think for our tech team in general, is if you look at that intelligent cloud number, it's up 19%, and Azure, they guided roughly 25 to 26% for Q1. It was up 28%. So that really represents how Microsoft is leveraging on multiple levels that cloud revenue. And I think the other big surprise, and we've known that PCs are coming off the bottom, but that personal computing segment at $13.7 billion is also a pretty nice beat.
Hey, Ted, it's Julie here. When we talk about Azure in particular, and I know that you focus more on Microsoft than on Alphabet. When you look, though, at Azure's growth in comparison with Google Cloud's growth, what does it tell you about what Microsoft is doing in terms of market share?
I think Microsoft controls the enterprise, and I think this is something that your viewership really has to understand. They've got they're almost a line item in some Fortune 500 IT budgets. So that control of the enterprise and that hooks into the Fortune 500 is very, very important. And more importantly, I think as you look forward, they're rolling out almost 11 Copilot offerings going forward. And that's major uplift for Microsoft from an enterprise perspective as they roll out those products.
And Ted, what do you expect for Azure now in the quarters ahead? We're waiting for CFO Amy Hood to give us her forecast, her guidance. What's your take? Do you think the strength continues here?
Well, we've been in this realm of what's called optimization, and it seems like they've broken out of that. If you look at their cloud growth in Q2 of 23, they had 38% growth. Then in Q3, that went to 31. Last quarter it was 27, and now we're back up to 28, where they guided 25 to 26. That's a pretty good uptick, and I think what it demonstrates is that Microsoft's vision from a management perspective, also from a scale perspective and a free cash flow perspective. And, again, they've spent almost $13 billion on OpenAI, and this week also invested almost $3.2 billion in Australian generative AI infrastructure. This is kind of the Death Star of technology. They are operating on all cylinders, and quite frankly, they're swimming out of their lanes, their traditional lanes. So it's a really impressive product set that will leverage Azure growth going forward. So I think what the street's going to look at, in summary, is we may be at least breaking out of that optimization, of that cost rationalization phase, and actually investing in core generative AI.
Well, and Ted, I mean, obviously we're going to look for more color on the call, but how should investors be thinking about how much AI is playing into all of the elements that you're talking about, right? In terms of the growth of cloud, in terms of the growth of Windows with some of the enhanced, capability. How much is AI playing a role, and generative AI playing a role in all of that?
We're in the first inning of this, maybe not even in the first inning, where the ground crew has not even got to the baseball stadium yet. If you look at what's happening around Microsoft, there are pilots going on, and these pilots are very, very singular in nature. And then we have trials starting in 24, 25. Microsoft is changing the rules of the game on generative AI. So on the conference call, what's going to be very important is what Satya or even Amy Hood says, the CFO says, on E3 and E5 product uptake on an ASP. Are the Fortune 500 actually willing to pay up for this generative AI services? And we'll have to wait and see what they say on the conference call.
And Ted, I want to get you out of here on this. You know, Microsoft did say they closed that acquisition of Activision. That means strong IP content. That means strength in mobile gaming with Candy Crush. What does that acquisition, Ted, really mean for Microsoft's gaming business now going forward?
So if you listen to NVIDIA or you listen to Microsoft, we're not going to see a console cycle here in the next few years. This is all moving to the cloud. And Microsoft already had close to 500 million MAUs on the cloud side. So what Activision really represents is accretion to the model, number one. And number two, this leverage, another leverage point into Azure growth, and that's cloud loadings.
Ted Mortonson, thank you so much for joining us today, Ted. That was great insight.
Okay, take care.